As a result of the ever-increasing competition in the telecom industry, service providers and mobile network operators need to turn up next-generation Ethernet services more quickly to get to revenue faster. Over 15 years ago, the RFC2544 test methodology was created to validate the performance of Ethernet network equipment. As most of you are probably aware, RFC2544 is no longer adequate for turning up next-generation Ethernet services. RFC2544 can leave issues undetected, which leads to downtime, recalls, and poor network quality. With RFC2544, tests are done sequentially, resulting in a very slow testing process. Furthermore, RFC2544 is not designed to test multiple services simultaneously, which is the hallmark of today's next-generation Ethernet networks. A few aspects that are often overlooked when considering the purchase of test equipment are simplicity, clarity, and ease of use. In many cases, field technicians' productivity level are not optimized and a lot of time and money is wasted on setup and support alone. A survey conducted by Expo found that 60% of all calls to Tier 2, Tier 3 support from field technicians are related to setup issues involving test units. This is reflective of the fact that Ethernet test applications often require complex setup. When this complexity is combined with the lack of Ethernet training in the field, the result is more time being spent on setting up a test than on actual testing itself. How many times have field technicians started a test application only to realize that someone with a PhD is required to configure and perform the test? The goal of iSAM is clear-cut: to simplify Ethernet service activation testing for field technicians of all skills. iSAM does so by making service turnups what they should be: simple and quick. Inspired by the feedback and field testing knowledge of customers around the world, iSAM was designed to simplify field technicians' daily tasks by focusing on the most common Ethernet service turnup configurations used in the industry today. Imagine that field technicians could set up an Ethernet service test within a single page, automatically connect to a remote unit, complete testing, and then have the test report automatically uploaded to a cloud-based storage location. iSAM makes this possible. In today's test and measurement market, field technicians often waste valuable time going through a multitude of test setup pages. Thanks to its innovative new approach, iSAM can be configured entirely within a single page for maximum efficiency. EtherSAM, Expo's Ethernet Service Activation methodology based on ITU-T Y.1564, was created for advanced users requiring the ability to configure multiple services along with all parameter settings capabilities, such as burst testing with committed burst size, CBS, excess burst size, EBS, traffic policing, ramp throughput settings, and much more. EtherSAM is a very powerful and comprehensive test application for Ethernet service testing. Many service providers today are using EtherSAM to turn up Ethernet services, and it is therefore important to note that iSAM was not created to replace EtherSAM. That being said, in many cases, service providers are still using the legacy RFC2544 Ethernet testing methodology. Many in the telecom industry will confirm that RFC2544 is no longer adequate for testing and validating next-generation Ethernet services. However, because RFC2544 is widely used, making the move to a more powerful Ethernet test methodology may pose a challenge for service providers and their field technicians. This is where iSAM comes into play. A simplified version of EtherSAM, Expo's new iSAM Ethernet Service Activation test application, boasts a design based on the most common Ethernet service activation profiles seen in the Ethernet service testing industry today. For service providers who have not made the switch to Y.1564, iSAM provides the easiest path to the new Ethernet testing reality. Let's look at how easy it is to set up and test Ethernet services with iSAM. Our starting point, the interface selection. Simple and quick. Select the interface, electrical or optical, and the rate at which the test is to be done at, and the IP address of the interface. That's it. Step 2 is profiles, performance criteria, and services. Once the user has decided if the test needs to be performed at layer 2 or layer 3-4, and selected the number of services to test, 1 to 4, the next step is profile and CIR selection per service. The profile is really a service template. It defines the frame type, fixed frame size or EMIX, the classification, VLAN ID, VLAN priority or DSCP, and performance criteria. There are two default profiles, priority and best effort, and a user profile. A priority profile defines a MEF Metro high service, a best effort profile defines a MEF Metro low service, and a user profile takes the last selected performance criteria as the default template. So what are these MEF Metro high and MEF Metro low services all about? Well, over the years, many service providers have searched for guidance in terms of the proper performance metric settings needed to test Ethernet services. For instance, should the frame loss ratio be below 0.5% for a short span service such as a metro service? Should the frame delay be less than 10 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds, or 30 milliseconds for a regional service? There has been quite a bit of confusion concerning the right metrics needed based on the type of Ethernet service provided. iSAM clears up this confusion by providing the latest cutting-edge Metro Ethernet Forum standard performance criteria. Using predefined performance criteria for MEF 23.1, field technicians can quickly select the MEF service type they need to test based on the Ethernet service being delivered. MEF 23.1 specifies 3 performance objectives and 4 performance tiers. The performance objectives relates to the class of service being delivered, whereas the performance tier relates to the span of the Ethernet service. The combination of these performance objective and performance tiers defines 12 different classes of carrier Ethernet services. This table outlines the performance criteria for each of these services. With iSAM, users also have the ability to modify the predefined MEF performance criteria for a given profile. Users can also create their own user-defined profiles and performance criteria. Some service providers may have their own Ethernet service offering, such as Gold, Silver, and Bronze, with associated performance criteria for each of these services. Creating these custom performance criteria and profiles are done using master templates that are accessible on a platform and not within the test application itself. This allows for easier editing. In this example, CenturyLink offers their business customers 3 wholesale Ethernet services, Gold, Silver, and Best Effort. In this case, they can create performance criteria for each. They can also create profiles that will use these performance criteria. Designed along the same principles as iSAM, iSAM also integrates the concept of 2 subtests, the configuration test and the performance test. The configuration test verifies the performance according to a per-service basis criteria and ensures that these performance metrics are met at the committed information rate, CIR, for each individual Ethernet service. The performance test, on the other hand, verifies that the performance metrics are met while all services are operating simultaneously at a combined CIR. The Ethernet service testing procedure always involves testing to a remote device. The remote device may be a simple loopback device or an Exfo smart loopback device returning the received Ethernet frames back to the local tester. The remote device can also be a more advanced device capable of bidirectional operation where each direction is tested independently. At Exfo, this type of operation is referred to as dual test set mode, or DTS, which is the most accurate method for turn-up and validation of any Ethernet circuit. DTS can be used to test asymmetric Ethernet networks, where each direction can operate at different rates. Also, using DTS, field technicians are able to quickly determine which direction is at fault when network issues occur. When using iSAM, field technicians can quickly select the desired remote unit operation mode from the configuration page. Is it DTS, loopback to an Exfo device, or a simple loopback to a third-party loopback device? iSAM is revolutionary in terms of remote device connectivity. There's no need to scan the network to discover Exfo remote devices, and no need to connect to that device before starting the test. With iSAM, simply opening the test application will enable automatic discovery of any available Exfo device in the network, and the most appropriate device will then be selected. In the case of multiple testing choices, the field technician will be able to quickly see the alternative units available for remote connectivity. If a preferred device has been previously defined as a favorite, for example, a centralized network probe such as Nexfo BV3100, the selection will automatically be made to that device. If multiple devices are found, the field technician simply selects the desired device for remote testing. In a situation where only one device is found and available, auto selection of that test unit will be carried out. When the iSAM test is launched, there is no need to connect to the discovered unit. Connection to the remote unit will be established automatically. Turning up and testing Ethernet services should not be complicated. iSAM's auto remote features with auto discovery and auto connect allows field technicians to connect to the remote unit seamlessly with maximum automation and minimal intervention. iSAM is all about making Ethernet testing simple and easy for all field technicians. So what about test reports? With iSAM, field technicians no longer have to perform any tedious tasks such as saving test reports to USB memory drives or emailing these test reports. Once the iSAM test is complete, the test reports are automatically sent to a cloud storage server with Exfil Connect. And within seconds, these test reports are made available to supervisors and managers. This means that jobs are closed out much quicker and service providers can get to revenue much faster. iSAM was designed based on years of field experience and customer feedback in order to help service providers and their field techs seamlessly transition from RFC 2544 to a simpler and more powerful Ethernet test methodology. By combining iSAM's simple and cutting-edge capabilities with Exfil's flexible licensing option, service providers now have access to an Ethernet testing solution that can minimize CapEx while maximizing testing efficiency.